Are the Simpsons hinting at real portals and hidden worlds? The Simpsons has been making predictions for decades, but could some of their most bizarre storylines be hinting at something even stranger? From portals to hidden dimensions, the show has referenced odd, seemingly impossible concepts that have since sparked real-life theories about alternate worlds. In this video, I'll explore whether The Simpsons has been subtly revealing truths about parallel realities, hidden dimensions, and maybe even time travel. Let's dive into what these predictions might truly mean and uncover the mysteries they could be hinting at. So we're going to get right into this with question 1. Have The Simpsons revealed real portals or gateways hidden in plain sight? Or in other words, is the idea of portals shown in the show based on real hidden truths? Are they telling us that there are really portals out there? And we're going to take a look first with Oracle, and then we'll use Tarot to get even more information about each question. So the first card is Africa. And if you've seen episode 1, you know that we've been working with alternate realities. This is a little different in that it's asking about what Simpsons is actually showing in the show, what it's using in the show, whether or not it's giving truths about the portals. And we have war. Next card up. We have release. And the last shuffle, at least of the Oracle cards for this layout, this question, is Fallen Angel. All right, so just a reminder, have The Simpsons revealed real portals or gateways hidden in plain sight? So pretty much just using the show to let people know that these things actually exist. Okay, so the first card here is the Africa card, and Africa card is about greater truth. So I'm going to take that as an absolute yes. They are revealing portals and gateways in the show. Although I think it's been argued, you know, what's the point? What is the point of sharing these portals, these gateways? Why do that? What is it going to do for people? And whoever is arguing this with the writers, what is it good for? I think that somebody tried to talk them out of even bringing portals into the show at all. But they just released that idea and went, we're going to do what we need to do. And, you know, with Fallen Angel, I think whoever was trying to talk them out of it thought that they'd be opening up a can of worms that they wouldn't be able to close again, and that it would be the downfall of the show. And I don't think, obviously, since there are portal references, one episode specifically shows Homer going through a portal behind a bookshelf and Bart goes in after him. That's pretty much to escape Marge's sisters. Anyway, so let's move on. We have Man on Fire. We have Black Water. And we have the 39 steps. Okay, so even though they were asked not to release in the past, they wanted to still give the greater truth in everything. Man on Fire here, they it did just the opposite. When they did a portal episode, when they did a portal episode, it didn't happen the way whoever was warning them against it. It did not happen as they thought. Instead, it shot the show through the roof. Man on fire. The show was on fire. Blackwater, I think, probably is about the black holes. And Blackwater is pretty much another reference, I think, to, at least with this card in this reading, another reference to like black holes. Nothing was really said about in the question about black holes, but that's also in there as well as a greater truth. It's underneath of Africa. The 39 steps, I feel as though, again, whoever was trying to talk them out of putting portals into The Simpsons, going a little too woo-woo, perhaps. What would be the point is what this person or person's arguments were. And tried to encourage them to take 39 steps, and that's just the card, but to take many more steps before going in that direction. And I feel as though the writers made a good call because, again, the show went crazy. Because, as you can see, they're giving us truth. They're also giving us the fact that black holes do exist. And they're letting us know here that it did something really good for the show. To bring out something that most in a cartoon, I guess, would never even imagine to put in. So they're saying yes, absolutely, yes, this is the greater truth. There are such things as portals and gateways hidden in plain sight in the show. They're letting it be clear. But I think it's also based on the fact that we can find them out here also, allegedly. So let's check out and see what more can be given through the tarot with this question. I have a new deck coming today that'll allow for a little easier seeing. So with Africa, we have Queen of Wands. And this is the energy, the energy that they are sharing, that the writers are sharing here, that they care about the people they create the shows for. And that's the energy that they put forward and the energy that they want to put forward and continue putting forward. And then we have the King of Wands. And in this case, whoever was trying to talk them out of putting anything kind of woo-woo into the show, they thought they had the upper hand. They thought what they were saying was correct. They believe that the energy that the show should have should remain kind of neutral and, no conspiracy theories, nothing like that. War, what is it good for? They weren't looking at it from the standpoint of the show. They just didn't want to share any information that might be deemed conspiracy or something like that. And then we have the Four of Swords. The writers released what they were being told here. They were just like, forget it. We're going to do it anyway because it needs to be done. We need to put the truth out there. We know for a fact, and if you've watched episode 1, you know why. We know for a fact that there are portals and hidden gateways and hidden dimensions and black holes, okay? We want to put that out there. We want to give that truth. But these people over here are saying, let it die. Just let it die. Because you're going to ruin the show. When in fact, with the Ace of Wands, this opened up a whole new energy for The Simpsons. It didn't kill the show at all. It just opened up a whole new energy, put a new light, a new, what do you want to say, a new life to this show. And let's see, the High Priestess with the Man on Fire. So the show went crazy. Okay, it was the portal shows and the what you might call woo-woo shows are really popular, including the predictions. Okay, predictions might be considered woo-woo, right? So with the High Priestess, now it's to the point where you never really know what they're going to do. They've had great success with putting the portals and that kind of thing in there. So it's a mystery what comes next. And with the black hole, we have the Wheel of Fortune. It's saying sometimes it could be possible that they could go a little too far with certain things. But I think now, with the show's success in so many different ways, having been on for so long, I think that they can take a few more risks than a show, than they could when it was a year old, 2 years old. And then we have the Hermit. They're using their wisdom when choosing what to put into the show, choosing from the information that they get. And again, if you haven't watched episode 1, that's something that you need, and 2 and 3. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. You probably should, because a lot of this kind of goes hand in hand. And just to say that the Simpsons writers get information in very unusual ways. So it just makes sense that they would share the information they receive. It's not going to harm anybody. It's just going to open up some minds. So we do know, okay, that yes, there's portals. Where those portals are, they could be anywhere, as the one show did, what I mentioned before, when Homer was trying to get away from seeing Marge's sisters, he pulled the bookshelf out, and when he went behind it, his elbow kind of went through the wall in like a portal. Well, he figured he'd take his chance going through the wall. So that's what he did. And so they could be pretty much anywhere. I don't think the cards are going to share with us where, the portals might be. So moving on to question 2 now. Question 2, are the parallel worlds and alternate realities portrayed in The Simpsons more accurately than we realize? In other words, have the writers seen something that we have not? So let's see. We have mask. Excuse me. I think it's wanting to know too is, did the show hint at real multiverse theories? Okay, and second card. Oh, there's black water again. Huh. Kind of amazing that we ever get the same cards twice, but with all these cards. But yeah, it does happen. We have the Poseidon Adventure. And last card to get us started is Legally Blonde. All right, so again, just to remind you of the question, are the parallel worlds and alternate realities portrayed in The Simpsons more accurately than we realize? Do they hint at the real multiverse theories? Okay, so we have mask. And with mask, I feel like that's saying, as in the previous question, somebody would rather they mask the truth, that they not show as much as they do. And to some degree, it's probably really difficult to create a cartoon that shows as much as they would like to show. They want the show to have spirit. They want, how do you show a black hole? Well, they managed to do it in the one portal episode. Again, going back to when Homer went back through the bookshelves, it was kind of like a black hole. It kind of sucked in on itself. And they were able to show that, but there's only so many ways that you can do something like that without possibly turning the understanding upside down, okay? Or going into somewhat dangerous territory, meaning too much information, okay? And sometimes it's easier to try and keep it a little more simple so that more people's eyes become open. And if you remember in Legally Blonde, when she started out, she seemed like a total airhead, right? But everything turned around. So to keep it simple, we have Pleasantville, New Direction, and Kung Fu Fighting. All right, so again, black and white sometimes is the best route to go. When you're introducing something new, such as a black hole or a portal or a new dimension or a hidden world, something like that, to keep it simple. Keep it as black and white as possible. And then eventually you can go in the new direction and add color, a little more color, because there's more understanding then as to what is going on. So I think, not sure when they've put the first portal episodes in, but perhaps now, if it's been a year or two, maybe even less, they can perhaps put a little more color into it now. And because they have a little more energy flow. People aren't as apt to fight the concept now. They've seen it multiple times in the show, so they're not as apt to fight the idea, the concept that, what they're showing is possibly quite real. So let's see what more we have in the tarot. All right, for mask, we have Knight of Swords. So this is being very active in the truth, being very active in what they're communicating in their writing. And so I'm taking that also to mean that they took the challenge, they took the leap, took the challenge and masked it a little, perhaps, but not as much as they were being told to mask it. And then with Black Water, we have the Three of Wands, and they did quite a bit of planning on how to portray these things, like the portals and the black holes and hidden worlds and alternate realities. They did planning before the writing. And then we have Queen of Cups. Their intuition told them not too fast. If they really care about their people, they really care about the viewers, they needed to roll this out in a caring manner, in a very caring manner, where they didn't overstimulate the mind, make it too complicated, which would in turn, kind of complicate the show itself, in that it's not supposed to be a complicated show. It's supposed to be an entertaining show. So they did think hard about how to put that out there and planned it. And then with Legally Blonde, they wanted to make sure that whoever was viewing, okay, as I said, keeping it simple, but they wanted to make sure that whoever was viewing it felt emotionally connected to what they were doing. Emotionally, I mean, great way to go into a portal was having Homer hide from Marge's sisters and go behind, and he didn't even call it a bookshelf. I can't even remember what he called it, but it wasn't a bookshelf. Go behind it and take the risk. It was that important for him to avoid the sisters. But that was a great way to connect some of the viewers up, knowing that sometimes family can be difficult. Okay, so they played in with that. And then we have the Three of Pentacles. All the writers did agree that to grow the show in this manner, to put some of these strange ideas out there, they all agreed and all worked together to make sure it was simple, to make sure it was black and white concepts to start with. And the Four of Pentacles, there were a couple writers that wanted to hold on to how the show was being done previously, but they ended up coming on board. And Seven of Pentacles, the seed was planted. They planted the seed, and now pretty much no matter what comes into the Simpsons cartoon, I think it's pretty well accepted and there's not a lot of fight behind it. So let us get these cards cleaned up and move on to question number 3. And if you can hear snoring in the background, that is my Chihuahua. He lays in my room with me, and it seems to be the time when he literally snores the most. Like, he's telling me, I know what you're doing. And since I can't sit on your lap and be a part of it, I'm going to make as much noise as I can. All right, so let's get these put away. As quickly as possible so we can move on to question 3. There's 5 questions in this reading. I try to keep it to about 5 questions because it's usually about an hour. All right, so question number 3. Has The Simpsons ever intentionally predicted real hidden dimensions? In other words, did they deliberately disclose something within an episode or more than one episode to make sure that people truly believed what they were seeing? So has The Simpsons ever intentionally predicted real hidden dimensions? We have Hidalgo. And we have war again over here. True Grit. Wanted to pull another card from that pile. Okay. All right. So, and we have Material World. All right. So, has The Simpsons ever intentionally predicted real hidden dimensions? Hidalgo, if you've not seen it, is about a wild paint horse, a wild horse that this man is privileged to ride and call his friend. He does not call Hidalgo his. He understands the honor of being allowed to ride this horse. And it says unbridled, unbroken, unbeaten. He goes up against a bunch of thoroughbreds. Fantastic movie, by the way. Goes up against a bunch of thoroughbreds. And I feel like this is saying here that despite all odds, being told that this is the wrong thing to do. It isn't moral. I mean, these are the arguments that might have been used. It's not moral. Humans don't need to know these things. They're happy and fine to just not know anything. They just want to go through their world. But the Simpsons writers don't agree, okay? So with great persistence, with great strength, they forged ahead, giving the true grit of what they want people to know in their episode. And perhaps it's part of it is to kind of take the focus away from what this material world is like, okay? We can all have money. We just have to know how to manifest it. We have to know how to magically put it forth or magically work with our human selves to get everything we need in this material world. And to some degree, in The Simpsons, you see amazing things happening in many different episodes. You see amazing things happening for Homer, you know, where he looks like he would be an absolute, well, he's just not, doesn't seem to be a very intelligent man. At least that's how they portray him in the cartoon. But yet, incredible things happen for him because... And they're showing in here all the different things that the hidden dimensions, and this is taking it to a different level, but hidden dimensions to the human psyche, even hidden dimensions to people, hidden dimensions that for things that you wouldn't even think could ever, that you'd ever notice in someone. But there's hidden dimensions in everyone. So I think on a regular basis, they show that in Homer, okay? They show the other form of hidden dimensions in Homer. But as for real hidden dimensions, have they intentionally predicted real hidden dimensions? I think so. I mean, again, going back to episodes 1, 2, and 3, it's pretty difficult not to bring that into their writing. So we have Too Much Time on My Hands, Pushover, and Guitar Man. All right, so most shows are in it for the money. It ends up being because of this, because of the lack of truth, because of being afraid to take the risk, not being persistent enough. They end up with too much time on their hands, a disconnection from their audience. Nothing productive really takes place, especially if what they're doing is only to see how little they can give, but still look at us as pushovers, that will accept anything that is put out there. Again, looking back at the last question, we know that Simpsons, the writers did it in a specific way to introduce the subject first and then move forward with it later on when they realized that people really liked the information. So it's the dedication of the Simpsons writers that makes things believable, that makes things possible, that makes people say they're incredible writers, because this could actually be true. In fact, I do believe, when they're asking the question, I do believe that they have intentionally put certain things into their cartoons to say, oh yeah, hidden dimensions do exist. They do. So let's see what tarot has to share. We have the Nine of Pentacles, and that is saying they've been offered a lot of money, a good life, that kind of thing. They've been offered that, not to share, not to show, not to write certain things in the cartoon. We have King of Cups. Because there are people who feel as though we can't handle it. We're too emotionally young in comparison to the people who want to talk us out of it, who want to keep everything secret. They think we are too young. But the legacy that the Ten of Pentacles as the legacy card comes out actually quite a lot in these episodes. The legacy that they want to have is that they have always given the truth about the things that they've turned into cartoon, entertaining episodes. Things are true. Things are possible. So we have material world comes in with the Six of Swords. And this is just, they feel very good about what they're putting out there. And it's not about the money. It's about feeling good about what they're communicating, what they're putting out there. The truth makes them feel good. The truth gains them money too, but that's not the sole purpose behind what they do. And then too much time on my hands. We've got the Three of Cups. And this is just going to show the celebration that the Simpsons can have, whereas those who don't want to give out the truth and think that we're pushovers, that they can put out anything, and make money out of it, those are the ones who aren't celebrating so much. They're too disconnected. And then we have the Seven of Cups. There's a lot of things to watch out there. A lot of things to watch out there. And I mean, so many shows. It's really difficult to choose sometimes as to what a person's going to watch. But one of the things that makes us watch is how emotionally connected that we get. We're not pushovers. We won't watch just anything. If it doesn't connect us immediately to, say, the characters or the story, well, we'll click away from it. I think most people do. They want to feel connected. So if you're giving below par shows, thinking we're pushovers, you couldn't be more wrong. And then we have the Five of Wands with the Guitar Man. Five of Wands is a little bit of conflict, a little bit of chaos. And of course there's that with every program, every writer. But these writers for Simpsons are dedicated, and they're very satisfied with what they do and how they do it, and they can handle any little bit of conflicting energy that may come their way, because they always go for the truth. It's the true grit of the show. It's the legacy of the show. So has The Simpsons ever intentionally predicted real hidden dimensions? I think they have, because they tell truths. So let us get these cleaned up and see what we can do about question number 4. I think as I was sitting here and I had told you that I had a different deck of cards coming, the mailman showed up, and I'm pretty sure they're in there. So you'll be seeing those in the next episode, the new cards. And I just wanted them because the writing on these here, you can't even see them, writing on these is so tiny. And I have to stop and really look sometimes to see what they are. And that's with glasses. So, you know, they're tiny. The writing is tiny. All right. Okay, so question number 4. Are the portals and dimensional shifts in The Simpsons connected to secret government knowledge? In other words, are the writers getting classified concepts somehow and then putting them into the show? Okay, so we have the giver. It's a good question. Gives food for thought, for sure. All right, we have Pleasantville again. I hope that you're enjoying this. I so enjoy doing it. I really do. Jaws. And if you like it, please do me the favor of hitting the like button and also considering subscribing. The Simpsons is not the only thing show that I do. There are 3 shows each week, and there will be more information about that towards the end. All right. And then as those 3 shows are up, I move into other shows. All right, so we have, again, reminder of the question, are the portals and dimensional shifts in The Simpsons connected to secret government knowledge? In other words, are the writers putting in classified concepts that they are privy to somehow? So here we have the giver. It says at the top of the card, search for truth, find freedom. And I think they are truth seekers for sure. But as we know, they also get information elsewhere. And I think they are privy to certain kinds of information, not necessarily that they dig into classified concepts. How they could do that, who knows? I don't think they can. However, they are privy to certain information, whatever the beings that give them the information are sharing with them, that's what they're privy to. Could it be classified concepts? Yes, it could. And with Pleasantville, as we know, this is black and white. This is not a black and white question because they don't go into the classified information. They don't have access to classified information in the form of paperwork from the government or anything like that. They get it another way. It's not just as black and white as getting the classified documents. With Jaws, in the past, it was scary. It was scary for them, some of the things that they would get, and they would see after writing an episode, perhaps how predictive it was. And it was raw, so different. And, they might have felt like they had to defend what they were doing, defend the show itself. Return. Black water again. And 1. But yes, defending the show itself is what they thought that they would have to do, and maybe, go back to square one, return to what they were doing previously. Because, going down that wormhole, or going down the wormhole, through the wormhole, might have, left them pretty much disconnected, separated from, the initial idea of the show and that kind of thing. Might have separated them completely. How it separated them instead was to make them sought after. Okay, going through the black hole was a really good thing to do. They don't have to return to any old ways of doing things, whatever that was, before they started getting the information that they get that is, perhaps classified concepts. They don't have to return at all. They're on their own, in the sense that I don't think any other show has been as convincing in such a black and white and very unique manner. But yeah, it's been a success. There was nothing for them to be afraid of, nothing for them to have to protect or even hide away from. And no reason to, return to the way they were doing things. So with tarot, we have the 8 of Pentacles. And this is the card of hard work, mastering the work. And they take what they're given, and they have mastered how they put it out there now. No matter what kind of information that it is, they have mastered and continue to master. It's not like, oh, I wrote this episode and I'm the best writer and I don't have to put a lot of effort into anything again. No, they put that kind of effort into all of their episodes, which is why they've been on for so long, for one. And then we have the Page of Wands with Pleasantville. And that's the gentle energy of the show. The gentle energy and the way that they put certain concepts out there. As I said, things aren't as black and white as it looks. So it has to be a gentle energy. There's just so much to the story about where they get their information. Then we have the 4 of Cups. And this is to say that they don't put everything out there that they hear, that they get. What they put out there most of the time is what the beings offer them. If it feels important, if it feels right, the writers will flow with it. Then we have Death. So the transformation of the show itself, it didn't require protecting the show or protecting themselves or anything like that. Nothing bad came for them by offering the information. Number one, it's a cartoon. Who's going to say, oh, you have classified concepts? You found classified information. You can't put that out there. Well, they didn't have to protect themselves that way. There's something different about a cartoon, for sure. A lot more information can come through that way. And, for them, that was a transformation. It changed everything. It was the death of their fear, the death of, worrying that they had to protect the Simpsons show from people who might think that they were stealing classified things. And then we have the 6 of Swords again. And so this was, they didn't have to return back. They went ahead. They forged ahead with their writing because they could. And then we have the 10 of Cups. So going through that black hole was fantastic. It allowed them to complete certain scripts and complete, just to be really thrilled with how the show has forged forward. And then we have the 10 of Wands. No more burdens. It's a completion of that kind of energy. They don't have to worry about being alone. Alone meaning nobody wants to watch the show. Oh no. They're very, very popular. They are the one. And they don't have those burdens anymore, that energy burden anymore. It's completed now. So, answer, I believe they have classified information in the show. I do. But the way that they receive that classified information is not as black and white as people need for proof. So I'm saying yes, allegedly, they do have classified concepts in the show, but because of how it's received, it's difficult to prove. Okay, so let's move on here to the last question in this episode. I'm just kind of picking them up at random this time, throwing them in different piles, making sure everything stays a little on the even more shuffled side. All right, so now we have, what is the deeper message The Simpsons is sending about hidden dimensions and unseen realities? In other words, is there a warning or hidden clue that we've missed? Something they've been trying to tell us that we're not catching about hidden dimensions and unseen realities. Fantasy. Oh, Robin Hood's turned upside down. Okay. Tarzan and mate again. The Green Mile. The Day After Tomorrow. So what is the deeper message The Simpsons is sending about hidden dimensions and unseen realities? Is there a warning or hidden clue that we've missed? So with the fantasy card here, this is not a card of fantasy at all. It is just saying that the show is not ordinary, okay? They receive the information that they receive when they're in a higher state, and it is a higher purpose for them. So with that in mind, it's not like they're going back to the Stone Age, okay? There'd be people, there's certain people who would prefer them to, go back to the Stone Age with the information that they're sharing. But the Simpsons, the writers, I think they'd like things to be kind of in between, okay? Homer and family are kind of like, well, Homer specifically is kind of like a caveman. That's what he kind of reminds me of, is a caveman. To some degree. He's not like Flintstones or anything like that, but he kind of reminds me of a caveman. So you've got this higher purpose, these higher beings working with a cartoon character that is like a caveman in a way. And it's like going into that thinking, what would that caveman do in this scenario, in this situation? How can it be convincing? How can we help people see what they wouldn't ordinarily understand? Okay? And with the Green Mile, if you remember, Coffee, he was on death row and for hurting two little girls. He didn't act, oh shoot, I don't want to give it away. That's the hard part about using cards like this. He sees things and he can take people's emotions and take people's illnesses. He has a magic to him that is not understood. Nobody understands what he can do. And he hides it. He hides it very, very well. So this higher purpose, using kind of the caveman guy, Homer, and using information that is not very well understood, it could, leave people in basically frozen mode, or leave most people in frozen mode. We'll put it that way. Indian reservation. War again. It's the third time. And Sister Act. So some people could be in frozen mode. These writers are not. They can take so many different aspects about our world, okay? Such as global warming. We'll use this card again, global warming. The fate of, or the ideas about injustice or disrespect or greed or oppression, things like that, and war, lack of justice, moral conflicts, religion. These writers can take those concepts and they can use magic and their higher knowledge, okay, their higher knowledge, and use Homer to bring out the truth of it. So I'm going to say probably there's a deeper message in every Simpsons episode. A deeper message about whatever they happen to be talking about in that particular episode. Whether it's portals, whether it's black holes, whether it's global warming, or, well, the caveman, we'll say unusual ways to live, okay? War, human existence in general, all the different stories that people, throughout history, there's always been people that have been disrespected. We'll say that. Disrespected. We'll leave it at that. Through history. This card shows one of them, but, we can list off others. However, we're going to move on to tarot. So no matter what information, whatever the show is about, there's always a hidden message within, because the writers have a higher purpose, and it's magical. All right, so let us pull the tarot and see what the tarot has to share. We have the Page of Cups. This is the message of emotion, the message of feeling. If what they get gives them a feeling, kind of like goosebumps. When you hear something and you get goosebumps, if it gives them goosebumps, we'll put it that way, then it's something that they know is important for humanity to hear. And then we have the Queen of Swords. They use in a very gentle manner, they use Homer to put that truth out there. And of course, it's not just Homer, it's the other characters as well, but he is the main character in it, and they use him ever so carefully to put the truth out there. And then we have the Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Swords, most people look at that as the thief. The way that I learned tarot, that is, and it goes very well with the Green Mile, don't judge a book by its cover, because you really don't know what's between the front and the back cover. Until you know that, you can't make a decision about anything. So this is magic. What coffee does is magic. Kind of a supernatural magic, something that nobody can really understand. And so when he reacts a certain way or does something specific, somebody might say, oh my gosh, he's a horrible human being. But in fact, no, the truth, that's not the truth. The truth is, whoever is saying that really doesn't know what he is, who he is. They don't have enough information. And with the day after tomorrow, we have the Magician. And I'm going to put this into some of the things that they might actually talk about. The Magician would be trickery where the weather is concerned. And then planting the seeds of discord. We have Indian reservation here. This is the Seven of Pentacles. So planting the seed of discord. These are things that we face all the time in our physical life. And I think these are some of the things that the Simpsons try to put out there, the warnings and the hidden messages. And we have the Empress. So we have someone who is always creating the possibility for war and moral conflict and loves doing it. And then we have the Three of Wands and Sister Act. And that is a plan, some kind of a plan. I mean, the Three of Wands is a plan. You've thought about it, you realize the potential, you've thought about it and want to put it into action, but you need the plan first, okay? So we have the plan where religion is concerned. There's always something going on with religion. There's always a plan. And not always a good one. As we can see in Sister Act, she was a criminal put in police protection or whatever protection in the movie. And yes, she did good things and that kind of thing. But in general, when we're talking about this reading specifically, this is how the plans are hidden. Right in plain sight. And so that we maybe don't recognize what they are. So, what is the deeper message the Simpsons is sending about hidden dimensions and unseen realities? What are they warning, or what are we missing for clues? And the fact of it is that it is all very magical. How they get their information is magical. How they use their information, how they work with the characters to tell us what is going on in the world. And pretty much every episode is going to have something hidden within it. Some kind of Easter egg that they want to help us to open our eyes, to see what's really happening. So that is it for this episode. And I've put up on the screen, or will put up on the screen, a schedule for this show, which next week, again, same time, same day. And I believe it's Wednesday at 3 o'clock. And then we have a Fringe-inspired show that is Friday at 3 o'clock. And then there's 156 weeks of Twilight Zone inspired shows that are done on Sunday at 10 a.m. So if you want to tune in to any of those, a lot of really interesting concepts that these shows offer. And again, please let me know by hitting the like button what you thought of the show and subscribing. Comment too. Love comments. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you being here and being a part of this. So until next week, have a great week. Take care.